October 26th, 1993.
They're mammoth machines of destruction, armed with weapons thousands of times more powerful than the bomb over Hiroshima, able to completely destroy the United States.
Missiles, attack!
Comrade Captain, ready to start the firing process. The launch has been completed.
I wouldn't say that we have peaceful coexistence with American submarines. We are military men, and each of us fulfills his duty. We are ready to shoot.
Tonight, a Nightline exclusive, the previously unseen story of the Russian nuclear shark.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
It's almost certain that people have died, people working for Western intelligence agencies, trying to gather just a fraction of what you're going to see tonight. When Washington and Moscow considered how the nuclear nightmare might begin and how it would play out, the darkest recess of that nightmare was always the invisible threat that lurked deep under the ocean's surface. You could track what was happening on land or in the air. You could launch preemptive or even retaliatory strikes against an enemy's missile silos and bombers. But strategic nuclear submarines could lurk out of sight at the bottom of the ocean for weeks, even months at a time. They could come to within a few miles of America's Atlantic or Pacific coasts and launch a barrage of death, the likes of which the world has never seen before. They still exist, those submarines, on both sides. And tonight, you will get a closer look at elements of the old Soviet submarine fleet than any American has ever seen before. Garrick Utley has the story.
Now it can be seen. In a fjord on Russia's Kola Peninsula, north of the Arctic Circle, the Typhoon-class submarines built by the Soviet Union to win the arms race, underwater.
Учебная тревога. Ракетная атака.
6 of these submarines were built, the largest ever, designed to prowl silently the depths of oceans. Length 562 feet. Width 80 feet. On board a commander and a crew of 150 men. Also on board, intercontinental nuclear missiles, the most powerful sea-launched weapons in the Russian arsenal. If the Cold War had become a nuclear war, this is how it could have started. The commander ordered a drill never seen by the outside world. Even the sentries had not seen this. The giant hatches swing open, 10 on each side of the submarine. Under each hatch cover, a nuclear missile, 20 in all. On each missile, 7 to 10 separate warheads, able to strike targets up to 4,000 miles away. To stand here, to be allowed to look down on this once top-secret base is a reminder that the nuclear arms race is over, but that the weapons are still here. And these nuclear weapons are in a country where politics is in turmoil, the economy in chaos, and also where the military is very unhappy. During the Cold War, it had a special status and a clearly defined mission. Today, it has neither. Anatoly Sergeyevich Tisetsky has commanded his Typhoon submarine, the Agula, the Shark, for 7 years.
Of course, the internal political situation today is weakening the armed forces. Totalitarianism was only yesterday. Today it is democracy. We still have to get used to it.
As the turmoil on land continues, the crew is kept in a state of readiness. This exercise was to launch the missiles. In Commander Tisetsky's cabin is a safe, and in the safe there is a key. It matches another key. Together, they unlock the nuclear firing system. The system is almost identical to the procedure aboard American missile submarines, and even more secure. The missiles cannot be fired without a radio command from naval headquarters on shore.
Missiles, attack!
Comrade Captain, ready to start the firing process.
Yes.
Fire the first missile.
Yes.
Fire the second missile.
Yes.
Fire the last missile. The launch has been completed.
The crew of the submarine knows what firing the missiles would mean.
If our nuclear missiles were fired, it would be a world cataclysm. We would die immediately. Others would suffer a bit more than us before dying.
Like his fellow crew members, though, Sasha knows that the greatest danger to his country is coming from inside Russia itself.
Thank God the Cold War is over for the moment, and international conflicts have more or less settled down. Except here, it's such a mess now, sheer chaos. And on top of that, there are national conflicts.
Russia used to have 12 or more missile submarines on patrol at any one time. Today, it can afford to send only 1 or 2 out to sea. And now it was time for Commander Tisetsky to take his submarine into the Arctic waters. More than 60 days underwater, maintaining radio silence. The only messages he would receive would come from headquarters in a bunker on shore. What attracts your attention here, of course, are the nuclear submarines, not that rather nondescript hill in the background, unless you're told what is in that hill. First, an arsenal of nuclear weapons, and also the command center for the submarine fleet. Inside the hill are 4 layers of reinforced steel and concrete, designed to withstand a direct nuclear attack. The steel doors weigh up to 3.5 tons each. Inside the command bunker, a white telephone, the hotline which would receive the order from the Kremlin to launch the missiles. With the end of the Cold War, though, the chance of those orders being given has virtually disappeared. Each time a Typhoon submarine returns to port, the world has changed. In 1991, Commander Tisetsky came home to find that the Soviet Union no longer existed. Today, after his latest mission, during which he grew a beard, he wonders how Russia will survive. I asked him how he reacted to the violent clash between Boris Yeltsin and his opponents.
Watching that conflict, that confrontation in Moscow, and seeing what is happening in Russia, what's happening around you here, what's the future of your country?
I myself cannot find an answer to the question of who is right or who is guilty. Of course, I was shocked by the number of deaths of civilians. Fortunately, my weapons did not fire at the people and cannot fire at the people. At the same time, I sympathized very much with those commanders who had to make that terrible choice.
And does Tisetsky still see the possibility of using the far more destructive weapons on his submarine against the West?
I wouldn't say that we have peaceful coexistence with American submarines. We are military men, and each of us fulfills his duty. We are ready to shoot. We have our orders. And your commanders have the exact same orders to shoot in certain situations.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Dreyfus.
I teach because I love it, and because the future needs shaping. Like I do. For my future, I invest in Dreyfus mutual funds. They give me professional people, professional managers who keep their eyes on the market. Dreyfus fund managers, I trust these people. You know, they're the kind of people that are always looking for opportunities.
Now you have to finish your math assignment.
Anyone who does their homework, I like.
You have your choice of either blue or red.
The standard set by the federal government requires that a car with 2 airbags must help protect 2 passengers, ignoring the center seat passenger. The higher standard in the all-new DeVille by Cadillac. An air bank system which provides supplemental protection for not one, not two, but all three front seat passengers. The air bank system in the new V8-powered DeVille by Cadillac, creating a higher standard.
Tomorrow, Washington makes laws it doesn't pay for, but you do. And cities and states are mad as hell. The American Agenda on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Chemical dependency? Call the Alcohol and Drug Crisis Line. Family problems? Codependency? We're ready to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Relapse? Work-related problems? Call 373-8700 for a free confidential consultation with a qualified mental health professional. Help for alcohol and drug dependency, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call now.
Gary Willingham here with Save More and Lois at our all-new Toyota of Gallatin. If zero down, low monthly payments, and great service is what you want, we've got them.
We've got the Toyota GT Sports Truck with AM/FM cassette, graphics, custom wheels, and more. Zero down at only $109 per month.
And we've got pre-titled program Corollas as low as $11,999. Truck buyers, the all-new GT Sports Truck, zero down, $109 a month.
We're open extended hours, just 10 minutes past Rivergate.
Toyota of Gallatin. Call us now.
There is a contradiction in Russian life that you see even here at the home port of the giant Typhoon-class submarines. The technological achievements are impressive, but the primitive conditions that surround them are not. The most modern weapons of war are loaded for a mission, and so is the food, including hunks of raw meat. There is danger in this port. It comes from poor maintenance, from negligence in handling radioactive material. Example, there is only one old crane to handle the nuclear missiles and torpedoes. During the delicate maneuvers, there is no radio link, only hand signals between the officers on deck and the crane operator. He knows the risk.
What do you think? Of course it's dangerous. And I'm on the hot seat when it comes to being afraid.
Sergei and Vitaly are former naval officers who worked at the base.
The state of the crane is extremely interesting. When it wants to, it works. When it doesn't want to, it doesn't. It all depends on how much you give the crane operator to drink. The officers in charge are worried, but they cannot do anything, because there are no more cables. There is no more money.
No one really thinks about it. It is as if the perception of the people who work here, who are constantly confronted with the danger, has been dulled.
My wife doesn't even imagine that operations such as loading and unloading nuclear munitions go on here, nor that they are carried out by a crane as old as this one.
Last year, there was an accident. A cable broke as a missile was being loaded. The missile burned, scorching this submarine. Since then, the sailors call it Red October. In the past, accidents were always covered up, but now Russians are starting to talk about them, and not just the accidents. A fuller picture of what's actually been happening came earlier this year when a government report was made public. It confirmed what many had suspected, that for years, indeed decades, the Soviet Union has been violating international agreements, that it has been decommissioning its old nuclear submarines by towing them out to sea and then sinking them, often with their nuclear reactors and nuclear fuel still on board. The apparent indifference to nuclear contamination could be seen on one of the Typhoon submarines in port. These sailors were emptying water from the sub's nuclear reactors without any protective clothing, even without gloves. And just across the bay, another radioactive hazard, a waste disposal site for nuclear material. Oleg, a truck driver on the base for 33 years, showed the waste site, and he described what happens there.
No one respects the security measures. The rules for handling anything radioactive are never up there. I am totally sure of what I am saying.
An old ship houses 200 sailors who work and live at the site. Used uranium rods from submarine reactors are stored in the large silos just next to an administration building. In 1987, the nuclear rods overheated and radioactive water leaked into the bay. Oleg told of other things he had seen.
Over there, I saw a contaminated anti-radiation suit, which had been used and should have been destroyed ages ago. Once we even saw something lying on the ground, which looked like a rod from a nuclear reactor. We didn't even go near it. We ran off immediately. The people here have reached a point where they drink and nothing else interests them. The people in charge told us that the radioactivity level is normal, that life is normal. So we gave up.
At the base hospital in the maternity ward, doctors perceive and believe that something is wrong.
We are always getting nosebleeds and headaches.
But they don't protest.
Our husbands are officers or sailors, and we don't want to create trouble for them at work. Also, any protest would be settled very simply. Sign here. They would immediately put a machine gun in front of our door. End of strike, end of protest.
So little is done. Babies are born, while just 30 yards from the maternity ward, missiles lie on the open ground. What is interesting is how many people at the military base talked about their lives, their concerns. As Sergei and Vitaly were talking, they learned that one of their friends had suddenly died. Oleg, the truck driver.
He normally never said anything to anyone. One thing he did say was about occasional heart pains.
According to the medical report, Oleg died of a heart attack several hours after describing what was happening at the nuclear waste site. In doing that, he added his voice to those who are worried about what is happening around them, and perhaps to them.
Ohio, Texas, parts from 174 suppliers in 32 states. They all come together right here in Georgetown, Kentucky, in the Toyota Camry. Built by Americans at a plant recently given the J.D. Power & Associates Gold Plant Quality Award. With this kind of craftsmanship, all the pieces fit together beautifully. The 1994 Toyota Camry.
I want to tell you about my home far away. My mother and father are there.
Strengthening the links of communications requires capital. In the last 3 years, Merrill Lynch raised over $50 billion for communications companies around the globe. We connect investors to opportunities and the people of the world to each other. For them, it makes a difference. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
Next time, politically correct investing. Can where you put your money make a difference?
Plus a debate over school choice and U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Thomas Pickering.
On Good Morning America.
It's a sneak preview sale at Hayes Mitsubishi. A great price on a brand new 94. Do we have double rebates? Certainly. So why buy the other guy's used, leftover, picked over 93s when you can own new 94s for less at Hayes Mitsubishi? You can own a brand new 94 Mitsubishi Eclipse for only $98.88 with nothing down. That's how Hayes Mitsubishi does it right. Double rebates! Double rebates! Certainly!
I don't ask why and I don't ask how. That's because I already know where. Right here. For Ace Best Buys of the Week, nationally branded products, money-saving prices. Vermont American 6.5 or 7.25-inch lightning circular saw blades with resharpenable Dynite carbide teeth, only $7.99. Wherever's premium 11-inch covered chicken fryer has a Silverstone interior for no-stick cooking, easy cleaning, only $17.88. These and other Best Buys are participating Ace hardware dealers. Hey, Ace is the place for me.
When it comes to standard equipment, Buick LeSabre is second to none. Dual airbags, anti-lock brakes, power everything. LeSabre also sets some standards, like boasting the highest resale value in its class. No wonder it's this area's bestseller. Or drive Buick Century, rated first for safety. With all these features, just $14,995.
Buick, the symbol for quality.
It is a town with a number rather than a name. Murmansk 150. The number is the zip code. Murmansk, the city, is a 2.5-hour drive away. This is a garrison town built 30 years ago to support the nearby submarine base. You cannot enter or leave Murmansk 150 without special authorization. The tumultuous events of recent years have changed life less here than elsewhere in Russia. Lenin's bust remains secure on its pedestal. The military makes sure that food from the south reaches this isolated community far above the Arctic Circle. But life is hard. Don't look for this town on a map of Russia. You won't find it. This is a closed city to the outside world, and yet at the same time it is home for about 25,000 people. And they have learned not to ask too many questions about the environmental hazards they're living with. There is only one bar in Murmansk 150. It is open day and night. It is a place to drink, to forget, and to meet people. Luba Ivanova is the mother of 2 children. She is divorced from a Navy officer, weary of life, and, she says, afraid.
Everyone's afraid. We all have serious problems. At least the women I know, because of the climatic conditions, as we call them here.
When asked why she stays, her answer echoes a deep Russian sense of fatalism.
That's the way it is. I'm a normal Russian. Well, we are not really normal. Because we are Russians, we can get used to anything. What can be done? Until we are hit on the head, we'll never understand.
What people in Murmansk 150 do understand is that they are trapped. The military life offers a bleak future. A declining economy offers few jobs or the hope of a home of their own. On a bus that takes workers from the town to the submarine base, their anger is not hidden.
What kind of a future do I have? All I have is my family. That's it. No apartment, nothing.
We have no choice but to stay here. We have to live with it.
We have lived through so much. I spent 15 years on a nuclear sub. I have been through several accidents with the nuclear reactor. Come on.
Even Anatoly Tisetsky, the commander of a giant Typhoon-class submarine, a man at the top of his profession, worries about the future.
People have become completely indifferent to the future because they can't seem to get a clear idea of that future. Look at the opinion polls. People saying they don't care who is in government. They don't care who is steering the ship, because whoever it is, they are not allowed to have a life. Why hide it? The military is completely isolated from society. A frontier stands between them, not an iron curtain, but a real closed frontier.
Given a choice, Tisetsky would rather go hunting with his gun than sail off on another mission with 20 nuclear missiles on board. But he knows that even with the Cold War over, he will have to do it again, leave his wife and 2 daughters in their tiny apartment. What he feels on the eve of departure comes through a song.
I am lost in my deepest thoughts, and I take up my most painful task again, looking for the meaning of life.
It is the irony of Anatoly Tisetsky's life that he has traveled the world underwater, and so has not seen the world. That has made him a dreamer. And on board his Typhoon submarine, between the missiles and the nuclear reactors, there is a place where he can dream. A room with pictures of Russian landscapes, even live birds singing. An extra touch by the submarine designers to remind the crew of home, the mother Russia they are defending.
When I am retired, I would love to have a yacht of my own and see the countries I have always wanted to see. As a dream, that is not very likely.
And there is one other desire he has.
I would like to meet an American submarine commander. I would love to go on his submarine. But you have to be realistic. You must take what you are given.
Anatoly Tisietsky takes what he is given. He is signed up for another 3 years as commander of this submarine. What will be his future after that? Like most Russians, he doesn't know.
I'll be back with a final thought in a moment.
It happens only twice a year. Sears National Hardware Sale. Pick up the 75-piece Craftsman Mechanics tool set with 3 quick-release ratchets and case, only $59.99. Or get a 19-piece screwdriver set, 4-piece plier set, or a 10-piece combination wrench set. All Craftsman, all guaranteed forever, all your choice, just $19.99. And this 20-inch toolbox with metal tray, also only $19.99. It's the biggest hardware event of the season, and it's only at Sears.
Someone very special is on that train. That's why you're driving a Buick LeSabre. You love its powerful V6 engine, anti-lock brakes, and steel safety cage body unit. But you bought LeSabre for the dual airbags, one for you and one for that very special person who sits next to you. LeSabre from Buick, the new symbol for quality in America.
I'm a nurse, and I'm a nurse first, and I'm an Aetna employee second. The care is first. You know, is that patient being handled appropriately? I would hope that we would all care about patients the way we would ourselves or our own family members. And that's the way I see it, that, you know, that's my job.
Saturday.
Here we have the theme for the Paula Poundstone Show. So you're home on Saturday night.
Don't you have a social life?
Mix those favorite snacks you go for.
Put the sweats on, hit the sofa.
No one said you had to go out Saturday night. Expect the unexpected on a new kind of comedy. It's Saturday Night Laughs on the Paula Poundstone Show, premiering Saturday.
It's difficult to judge what was more frightening, our old, exaggerated perceptions of the Soviet Union or the new view that is now available. The power of that nuclear submarine fleet, after all, remains awesome. But what is its mission these days? And if Russia finds that it can't afford the military that was once its greatest pride, how gently will that economic judgment be accepted? Russia is an environmental and economic disaster littered with nuclear garbage. It has oil and coal and diamonds and gold and a huge, expensive, and largely superfluous military machine. How it harnesses and disposes of all those assets should concern us a lot. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Nightline is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.